Hi guys, welcome back to Golden Reviewer. Here I have the two Poco F3 devices. On my right is the standard Poco F3, which has Snapdragon 870 processor. And on my left is the Poco F3 GT, also called Redmi K40 Gaming Edition. And this device has the MTK Dimensity 1200 SoC. And today we are going to do a benchmark comparison between these two devices and see which one is faster on paper. Okay, and one interesting thing about the Poco F3 GT is that there are physical buttons, and there is actually a mechanism to let the buttons pop out or retract the buttons. This is very interesting, and I think it will be useful for games like PUBG. Anyway, today we are going to focus on benchmark first, and let's run our Antutu benchmark first. So before we start, we make sure that both of these devices are connected to the same Wi-Fi. They are on airplane mode otherwise, and they both start at room temperature, so none of the devices are hotter than the other. So it will be a fair comparison. So the Antutu benchmark has finished, and it seems that the Poco F3 GT actually performs a little bit better than the Poco F3. So it seems that the Dimensity 1200 SoC is a little bit more advanced and more powerful than the Snapdragon 870. Okay, next let's move on to our next benchmark, which is a pure CPU benchmark, Geekbench 5. Okay, so in this pure CPU test, however, it seems that the Snapdragon 870 actually takes the lead over the Dimensity 1200. We see almost 20% lead in single core and a 10% lead in multi-core performance. So well done, Snapdragon. And next, let's move on to our last test, which is the 3D Mark stress test. And this will be very interesting because it tests the GPU performance as well as the sustained performance of thermal and also battery consumption of the device. So this should be very meaningful if you play a lot of games on your device. Alright, so in this 3D Mark stress test, the Poco F3 GT, or say Dimensity 1200, actually performs very well. We can see that the peak performance of these two devices are actually very similar. They are both at around 1200 to 1300. However, if you compare the throttled performance, the Poco F3 GT with the Dimensity 1200 actually does not throttle at all. It was able to sustain more than 99% of performance, while the Poco F3 will throttle to about 80% of its peak performance. However, I believe that this performance advantage is due to the more aggressive thermal policies, as we can see here that the peak temperature of the Poco F3 GT is much higher at 48 degrees. It's 6 degrees higher than that of Poco F3, and also use more battery. It used 10% of battery compared to 8% on the Poco F3. So I think it's just it allows the device to run at higher power mode for a longer period of time, and in return you get higher temperature, more battery drain, but a little bit more performance as well. So I guess there is no good or bad here. It's just different approaches, and because the F3 GT is advertised as a gaming phone, so it has to go with a more aggressive thermal strategy. Okay, I think that makes sense. Alright guys, so that's all for today's test. Hope you enjoyed the video. I also hope the video is helpful for you if you are deciding between these two devices. Stay tuned for more videos to come. See you next time.